What's going on, guys? Sayo here to bring you another episode of Faces and Heels, and as always, I'll be talking about rumors, speculations, results, and thoughts that has happened in the wrestling world today, and narrow it down to three stories that I want to talk about in this episode. First story I want to talk about is Ric Flair didn't appear on the October 29th episode of Monday Night Raw. A lot of rumors were floating around that he was going to appear on that episode of Monday Night Raw, and it made sense because it was in his hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina, and they were looking for a on-screen GM and to replace for AJ, and it all made sense. But it turns out he didn't appear on that episode. First time that I heard about of this rumor, I was hyped that he was going back to the WWE. He parted ways with the WWE after I guess his match with Shawn Michaels, the career-threatening match, and I guess he didn't want he didn't want to go to TNA, but I guess he was forced because of his personal problems and shit. But my thoughts on him being on TNA, it was embarrassing. His career was just leave a bad mark on his career because when he went to TNA, I didn't like Ric Flair on TNA. It was just a mess. It was just horrible. But anyway, when he didn't appear on Raw, a lot of you can call smart fans that knows about spoilers and stuff like me. I was shocked that he didn't appear because I was so sold that he was going to appear on Monday Night Raw and just take that GM spot and making him the next GM, you could say that. So the question is, why did Ric Flair didn't appear on the October 29th episode of Raw? Leave your thoughts and leave your thoughts down below, cause that's the question for this episode. Where was Flair for a simpler question? Where was Flair? That's the question for this episode, and leave your thoughts about or your answer down below. But again, what was the reason? Was it because the lawsuit filed by TNA against WWE? Probably. Was it to shock us? Probably, maybe too, maybe. But what I think the reason why WWE didn't let Ric Flair appear on Monday Night Raw. This is my thoughts. Again, if you don't like my thoughts, leave your thoughts down below. Give me your opinion, because I always like that. And please, I guess don't instantly go to the dislike button because you don't like what my thoughts is. Just, I guess, probably to help me, you could say that. But I'm not controlling you to not put the dislike button, to click the dislike button. If you actually want me, if you really actually want to press the dislike button, why not? But going back to the story again, the reason was WWE wanted to continue the storyline between Cena and the AJ scandal, and if they let Flair become the GM, it will just destroy the storyline. And the other reason is Ric Flair being back to the WWE is something big, and it deserves to be in a pay-per-view. In the AJ and Cena scandal, my thoughts of it is I'm not really the biggest fan for soap operas and shit in wrestling, love triangle and shit. But it will make sense why Ric Flair didn't appear. I wanted Ric Flair to just to destroy the storyline, but I guess WWE wanted to let this storyline to continue. The only thing that I like is we might see an outcome of a match between Dolph Ziggler and John Cena, and that's always great. And the other thing is Ric Flair is a big thing, you know. He's a Hall of Famer, and he deserves a he deserves the acknowledgement to be back in WWE in a bigger stage. And Survivor Series is probably one of the biggest, because yes, it's one of the most it is the major one of the major pay-per-view of WWE, and it will make sense, you can say that. But I expect him to be the GM of Raw, and if not, I'll be pissed because look at who is the current GM. It's Vicky Guerrero. I mean, who likes Vicky Guerrero? I despise Vicky Guerrero as a GM. But this is my take on this story, and leave your thoughts and answers on the question, why didn't Flair appear on Monday Night Raw? and leave that on down comments down below. And you can say that for simply your question, where was Flair? You could add your crazy comments and your any shit. The second story I want to talk about is the so-called controversial ending of Hell in a Cell, where we saw Brad Maddox low blow Ryback, and it appears to be breaking news that he committed suicide last Wednesday, and he was in his death note, or suicide note, I mean, where he said it wasn't my fault, and he can't have the conscience that Ryback wants to butt fuck him. No, no, no. I'm just joking. He didn't commit suicide, but I guess for real, he's the person that I want to talk about for this second story, on which was it the right move for WWE to do the screw job. If you didn't see what happened on Hell in a Cell, like what I said earlier, he low blowed Ryback. Punk did a roll up and did a fast count. He did a fast count, which we saw Punk retaining his title. When I saw Hell in a Cell, I knew from the start there was something with the match, because I saw the same referee that caused Punk the match between him and John Cena in a tag match, and I guess he didn't see that Punk was feet was on the ropes, foot was on the ropes, and I guess Punk was pissed off. Um, and I guess he was, I guess, a big part of that story, and you could say he was talking with AJ and some shit, but I know I don't wanna go through it. And I remember predicting on what was going to be the ending, and I'll put the video where I gave my prediction down below. But I predicted it was not going to be a clean ending. Um, I knew that, I guess, it was either to be a screw job or probably someone will interfere the match. That was my best bet. But I guess it's still the same as screw job, and what happened, it was a screw job plus a interference. So I just I guess my prediction was um two birds with one stone. I don't know why I used that phrase, but why not? But I predicted it was not going to be a clean ending. But the reason he is our second story for this episode, like what I said earlier, the WWE, I mean, made the right call for the ending of the match. I think they should not have made Brad Maddox interfere in the match, because WWE will be forced on continuing the storyline with Ryback, and if you don't know, I'm not the biggest fan between this feud with Punk and Ryback. You know, I guess they delivered. I guess they had an okay or good match in Hell in a Cell, but I don't see it. I don't see the click between these two. You know, I don't find there's something in it that wants me to I guess to go on Monday Night Raw and see what will Ryback do. I guess the only I guess what I'm an example was when Punk was going to quit in the WWE. He when I was tuning into Monday Night Raw if Punk will be there or what will Punk do until Money in the Bank. So that's what I'm looking for, something that wants me to go on to Monday Night Raw and watch. Um, and they should have made someone interfere the match so Ryback could feud with another person, which is the person who probably interfered the match. If it was Brock Lesnar, he could have had a feud with Brock Lesnar and had a match in Survivor Series. I would probably be okay with that than see Punk and what you call it and Ryback face again in Survivor Series. And so they should have just sent another guy to interfere the match, and so Punk could continue on his main feud, which was, I guess, with Cena. But I guess it was cut out, or it was because Cena got injured in his elbow or some shit. But I just wanted let them to continue the storyline between Cena, cause that's one of the storylines that I tune into Monday Night Raw and see what will happen next, cause I'm that interested the with the storyline or the feud. And I guess, but now we're going to see at Survivor Series rematch of almost all of the matches in Hell in a Cell made into one match. Talking about match in Survivor Series on almost all of the rematches, Hell in the Cell to Survivor Series. Our last story that I want to talk about is the traditional 5 on 5 Survivor Series match where we will see Team Foley versus Team Punk. Team Foley will be consist of Randy Orton, Kofi Kingston, Ryback, and Team Hell No. While on Team Punk, we will see The Miz, Alberto Del Rio, Team Rhodes Scholars, and CM Punk himself. If you see the match by their abilities and skills, this match is one of a kind. You see great mic skills and great in-ring abilities. But the problem is half of the booked matches in Hell in a Cell will be booked again, but with a twist. A twist. It will be under one match, and that twist. I mean not twitch. And that twist is not the greatest twist because you can call the twist lazy and bad booking twist. If someone thinks that's actually a great match, for me, bleh, it's just bad booking and lazy booking. And I'll talk all of the feuds that are in the match if they deserve to be in this match, starting with Randy Orton versus Alberto Del Rio. The match in Hell in a Cell was a great match, but I don't want to see another Del Rio bad booking syndrome where Del Rio is booked to face a superstar again and again and again. And Orton, I wanted him to go on to feud with the Big Show or Sheamus. Instead, he will face Del Rio for one more time, but with other people. What a twist, you could say. And Orton, again, I'll come back with Orton. Orton, I wanted him to excel. I wanted him to be a heel already, because I wanted that to see that the I guess Sheamus having a challenge, and I saw Randy Orton as a guy to step up as the next heel. And I guess Big Show is being that guy, but why not? Next, Rhodes Scholars versus Team Hell No. I guess this is the only match that deserves to be in this traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match because of the ending of their match. Um, it was, I guess, a bit controversial again, you could say, because it was DQ between Kane or something. So it deserved to be in the traditional, because if they were going to make it, if they were going to make it again in a match with Rhodes Scholars versus Team Hell No in another pay per view, it will just be a Del Rio booking syndrome. So they should have just it was a right call if they made it, and I guess in a Survivor Series traditional. I would like to see that with, I guess, the abilities of Team Hell No and Team Rhodes Scholars. Next is the Kofi Kingston versus Miz for the, I guess, uh, Kofi Kingston versus the Miz. I thought their feud was over after Hell in a Cell, but like my problem with Del Rio and Orton, they will face yet again. And lastly, and I'm just gonna talk about Martin Miz and Kofi Kingston. The Miz and Kofi Kingston rivalry, I like it. You see great ability, great, I guess, in ring abilities. You have Miz, one of the greatest stalkers currently in the WWE. If you don't want to say he's not the greatest stalker, but I'll be the first one to tell you he is one of the greatest stalkers in WWE. Made into one match with Kofi Kingston's abilities and athleticism. It's a great match, and it's going to be a great feud. It was a great feud, but again, the key word is was. I don't want to see Kofi Kingston versus Miz again and again and again and again, and I guess like a Del Rio bad booking syndrome, and that will be a term for me in this in this series. The bad booking Alberto Del Rio bad booking syndrome. I don't want to see that again. And lastly, Punk versus Ryback. This match I was expecting in a Survivor Series, but I wasn't expecting it to be part of the traditional 5-on-5 match, because I was looking for this feud to be over fast as possible, and I just wish someone will interfere at the end of the match, because my prediction on Punk and Ryback will be the last two guys in this match, and someone will interfere so Punk and Ryback can move on.